Thank you. So we're going to roll back to a time that you all remember for our secondary friends, elementary school, elementary representatives. I'm Jeremy Holinsky, the principal over at Bret Harte, and this is our instructional leadership team over here. Thank you for this opportunity to present. We're going to talk tonight about redefining collaboration to increase staff capacity. First, we wanted to start, though, with some context about our school. We're pre-K and TK through 5th grade elementary school, and we have 2 language pathways under one roof. So we have a Spanish immersion pathway and our general ed English pathway. This is our student demographic. You can see our students are overwhelmingly Latino, African American, and Islander. We wanted to draw your attention toward our teacher demographic, though. And we did this in terms of years of service at Bret Harte. So we have 15 general ed and 2 special ed teachers. And although we're really proud of our retention from last year to this year, you can see that a bulk of our teachers are in their 2nd to 4th year at school, 59% of them. And in fact, we put together a cartoon to show you our current situation. This is Miss Newbie. Miss Newbie represents quite a few of our teachers, actually, who come to us on day 1, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed with the right intentions, the best intentions to teach, get up there to teach, and quickly realize this is hard. I have to really be on top of my game here. Elementary school students require content, they require engagement, and I can't drop the ball for 1 second. Which means that this requires a lot of planning. And if we're not careful, this planning can lead to a lot of isolation, a lot of hours, and if our grade level partner teaches in another language pathway, this could further lead to isolation, which may lead to staying really late and burning out, something that we're trying to avoid. Also note that 5 of our teachers are in induction programs, and many of them are taking classes at night too. So this teacher may have had coaching and professional development after school when she was tired.
Okay, so I'm Kelly. I'm the Earth at the school. And to talk a little bit about our previous work, our ILT went on a retreat last year, and we read the Zaretta book together and have been really thinking through how to address our problem of practice. What we really found going into this year is that we've helped cultivate dependent learners. That our kids come in, it's an equity issue for us. Our kids come in to Bret Harte as independent learners, and then our teacher our teaching collectively fosters dependence and broadening the opportunity. So our current work with our 3 discovery activities, we really were focused on finding out the experience of our students in the classroom. We looked to other schools for just learnings from other schools, and then tapped into our teachers, their mindsets, and their experience at our school too. We went through protocols, discussions, kind of synthesized all of our data, and came up with, saw some definite trends. Learned a lot, but what we really saw and heard a lot was this teachers were saying we participated in this learning about independent learners, but weren't sure what to do in the classroom, what to do to kind of foster students as developing as independent learners. So that was our huge thing.
I'm Erica. I'm the literacy coach at the school. And so after all this, discovery and digging into this data, we synthesized, we came up with 4 insight statements. And we developed prototypes for these insight statements and decided to really dig into our statements 3 and 4 here. So the first one, that unengaging lessons leads to unengaged students who often engage in disruptive or negative behaviors. Now you may say, well, that's not an insight. No, we all know this, but I think our data really showed this is a hugely important principle that we need to come back to. And then our 4th insight was that this concept of independent learning does not just happen. It really requires very thoughtful work on the part of teachers. It is like an art, and you need to be constantly reflecting and just be really thoughtful about your practice. So looking at these 2 insights, our first one about this idea of engagement, we were asking ourselves, how might we support teacher capacity in designing and implementing engaging, relevant lessons so that our students are building agency for their own learning? And one idea that we were thinking about is this idea of, that's been mentioned already tonight, the teacher and coach and more opportunity for collaboration, and also the idea of designing a professional learning space where this collaboration can take place. Our next insight, the fourth one, was around independent learning and how do you take these new teachers and support them in this craft of developing independent learners. And our design solution for this was we started to think we really need a structure for teachers to be engaging in continuous cycles of inquiry and collaboration with the coach.
Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm the 4th and 5th grade Spanish immersion teacher at Bret Harte. And so after we iterated those 2 design challenges, we broadened it into a larger question of how might we build teacher capacity to foster independent learners. And our response was by providing teachers with school day embedded time, space, and structures to collaboratively reflect on and develop their practice. And this really builds on the work that we're already doing now. We do lesson study at our school, and this is our first year where we took it school-wide. So we already have cycles of inquiry, but even though I'm on the 4-5 team, which started our inquiry cycle earlier and faster, we're just finishing our first cycle tomorrow when I have my public lesson. Y'all should all come. But we're just finishing our first cycle tomorrow, and it's already December. So even though this is shifting my practice intensely and allowing me to really reflect on what my students need, it's not doing so in a timely manner, and it's not doing so in a fast enough pace. And when you add to that the 5 teachers who are on I3, the 5 teachers who are going to college at the same time, we only have a 15-person staff, and all of us are on different leadership teams. This capacity is getting diminished and diminished every day to do this work after school, so it needs to be day embedded.
So how do we make that happen? We decided that I'm Denise, I'm the 3rd grade Spanish teacher, thank you. So we're gonna rework our schedule so that we have time during the day to meet with our grade level partners and our coaches while students are at specials. And we've tried to do this before, but the thing that we're doing differently is, so teachers couldn't really focus during the time before. They're constantly being pulled in order to support their students during specials, and we found that relationships are really important. And so we wanted to get support for a Beacon program, our after school Beacon program. We have long, multiple year relationships with their students and their parents, long-standing relationships. So one is just getting that time in the day for them to collaborate. And then the next one is we want to redesign our space. We want to we have an extra classroom that we'd like to turn into a professional learning lab. It'll be one space with all of our professional resources and supplies on hand. The teachers will work together to weekly plan.
Hi, I'm Victoria. I teach 1st grade here at Bret Harte. So this is what we're thinking in terms of phases. For January, February, we're thinking tripping of that room, getting organized, getting baseline data, and looking at our schedule. After spring break in March, April, launch and continue data collection, and then in May, evaluating and planning for next year. For our outcomes, in the near term, teacher collaboration time will be doubled and more consistent, and lessons will be more engaging. And our long-term vision, our students will be independent learners, will disrupt the demographic trends, and will create a collaborative culture among staff that is deepened. And some of the ways we can measure this is by doing walkthroughs with our instructional leadership team, by looking at productive time on task, and student engagement, teacher satisfaction as measured by a survey, and teacher retention rate. And as Denise mentioned, our predictability of teachers is so important for our students because of those relationships. And then increasing collaboration with enjoyment of teachers measured by the survey, and increased student and teacher access.
So you can see the budget's up here, and we think comparatively it's not that large of a cost. I'm just saying. So we spelled it out so you can see what our $15,000 ask would be. But I want to reiterate something that Denise said, which is that we've tried to rework the schedule so that specials could be some release time for teachers to do this collaboration. But we have to support our itinerant teachers. And the best way we feel like we can do this is to use our Beacon staff who have relationships with kids during that time, and that costs money.
Okay, so we have a shared theory of action with SFUSD, and this is purposefully, that if and this is from Vision 2025 too, if we develop teacher capacity and really focus on building rigor and safe and supportive classroom environments, developing teacher capacity, and then aligning all of our supports and resources at the school, is what we just heard. Then, our Bret Harte independent learners will embody the SFUSD graduate profile. They'll be problem solvers, critical thinkers, collaborators. They'll be ready to navigate middle school when they get to you. And our current kindergartners can look forward to having Denise as our third grade teacher, eventually having Chris as our fifth grade teacher, because we'll be retaining teachers. So I want to thank you from Bret Harte. In this process, we learned so much. And a couple things we know. We know that we want to address the opportunity gap by cultivating independent learners. We know that we need to retain our current teachers. And we learned that we need to collaborate to address a systemic problem. And with your support, we will build our teachers' capacity, cultivate independent learners, and address the opportunity gap at Bret Harte.